Good morning students. Welcome to our channel EasyChem and I am your chemistry teacher. My name is T. Lakshmi. So today we are going to discuss about chemical reactions and equations. In this particular topic today we are going to learn about how to balance chemical equations. Before to learn about how to balance a chemical equation, first we have to learn what is a chemical equation. The chemical equation is a symbolic. The chemical equation is a symbolic. The chemical equation is a symbolic representation of a chemical reaction. Chemical reaction. What is the chemical equation? Means the chemical equation is a symbolic representation of a chemical reaction in which the reactants and products are expressed in terms of the chemical formula. I will explain this definition with an example. For example, here I am considering a chemical reaction between H2 and O2, and this will give rise to the H2O. Okay, H2 plus O2, it will give rise to that. Okay, H2O. This is a chemical equation. What is it represents? The chemical equation is a symbolic representation of a chemical reaction in which the reactants and products are expressed in terms of their chemical formula. For example, ఇక్కడ చూడండి, ఇక్కడ మనం ఏం తీసుకున్నాం? రియాక్టెంట్స్ని వాటి కెమికల్ ఫార్ములాలో వేసాం, ప్రొడక్ట్స్ని వాటి కెమికల్ ఫార్ములాలో వేసాం. ఇదంతా ఏంటి? మనకి ఒక కెమికల్ రియాక్షన్. సో మొత్తం దీనంతా కలిపి మనం ఏమంటున్నాం? కెమికల్ ఈక్వేషన్. సో మనం కెమికల్ ఈక్వేషన్ని సింబాలిక్గా రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తున్నాం ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ chemical formulas of water, reactant and products. So that is called as a chemical equation. Okay, this is called as a chemical equation. Okay, now after this we are going to discuss about how to balance the chemical equation. Okay, this is about the chemical equation. Now we are going to discuss about balancing chemical equation. See here, balancing chemical equation. Okay, there are 3 steps to balance I will balance a chemical equation. Okay, by using some steps. For example, in the first step, what we have to do to balance any chemical equation? The first step we have to do is we have to write correct chemical formulas. We have to write correct chemical formulas of each. We have to write correct chemical formula of each reactant and product. Okay, each reactant and product. That means I will explain this with an example. Here I am saying the hydrogen is reacting with oxygen and it gives the water. This is a chemical reaction. This is the hydrogen react with oxygen and forms water. Okay, first in order to balance a chemical equation, first of all you have to write the correct chemical formula of each of reactant and product. What is the chemical formula for hydrogen? The chemical formula for hydrogen is H2. What is the chemical formula for oxygen? The formula for oxygen is O2. The H2 plus O2 gives rise to what is water. What is the chemical formula for water? H2O. I think it is clear now. Okay, the first step is you have to write the correct chemical formulas of reactants and products. This is the step 1 in balancing the chemical equation. Okay, note చేసుకున్నారా? Okay, next the second point. Okay, this is the first point. Okay, second point. ఒకవేళ మీకు ఇది ఫాస్ట్గా అనిపిస్తే మీరు అక్కడ దాన్ని వీడియోని పాజ్ చేసుకుని నోట్ చేసుకోండి. ఓకేనా? నెక్స్ట్ సెకండ్ పాయింట్. దిస్ ఈజ్ ద ఫస్ట్ స్టెప్ ఇన్ బ్యాలెన్సింగ్ ద కెమికల్ ఈక్వేషన్. The second step. In the second step, I have to tell the 2 points. What is those points are? First, if you want to balance a chemical equation, do not touch in balancing a chemical equation, do not touch the ratios of atoms. Do not touch the ratios of atoms in reactants or products. Okay, the meaning of this sentence is while you are balancing a chemical equation, we do not touch the ratios of atoms in the reactants or products. Okay, we do not touch the ratios of atoms in chemical formula of reactants or products. For example, I will explain this also with an example. For example, hydrogen and oxygen react together to form H2O. Okay, consider here water. Okay, now what is this? This is the chemical formula for water, isn't it? How many numbers? What is the ratio of hydrogens and oxygens in the water? Here, how many hydrogens are there in water molecule? There are 2 hydrogens. How many oxygens are there? 1 oxygen. So what is the ratio of atoms in water molecule? 2:1. There are 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. This is the ratio of atoms. Okay, while balancing the chemical reaction, we should not touch these ratios. Okay, that means, for example, here H2 plus O2 gives rise to H2O2. Now we are balancing the chemical equation. H2 plus O2 gives rise to H2O2. We should not write like this, because if you balance the equation like this, then what happens? What is the ratio of hydrogens here? 2. What is the ratio of oxygen? How many number of oxygens are here? 2. 2:2 means 1:1. So here what happens? The ratios of atoms are changed here, but it is against the rule. So while balancing the chemical equation, you should not touch the ratios of atoms in chemical formula of either reactants or products. మనం రియాక్టెంట్స్ యొక్క కానీ ప్రొడక్ట్స్ యొక్క కానీ కెమికల్ ఫార్ములాలో యాటమ్స్ యొక్క రేషియోని మనం చేంజ్ చేయకూడదు ఎప్పుడు మనం కెమికల్ ఈక్వేషన్ని బ్యాలెన్స్ చేసేటప్పుడు. మీరు అడగచ్చు, హౌ వీ కెన్ బ్యాలెన్స్ ద కెమికల్ రియాక్షన్? ఐ విల్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ దట్ వన్. ఓకే, ఈజ్ దిస్ క్లియర్ ఫర్ యూ? ఓకే, కెన్ యూ రబ్ దిస్ వన్? ఓకే, ఐ విల్ రబ్బింగ్ దిస్ వన్. ఇప్పుడు మీకు ఒక డౌట్ వస్తుంది, వీటిని మార్చకూడదు, బట్ హౌ కెన్ వీ బ్యాలెన్స్ ద కెమికల్ ఈక్వేషన్? ఐఎమ్ గివింగ్ ఆన్సర్ టు యువర్ క్వశ్చన్. బట్ we may change, we can change I'm sorry, but we can write numbers as a quotients but we can write numbers as a coefficients, before reactants, before the chemical formulas of reactants and products. I will explain this also with an example. See here, what I am saying, we should not touch the ratios of atoms, but we can write the numbers, okay, as a coefficients before the chemical formula of reactants and products. That means, here see, for example, H2 plus O2 gives rise to H2O. Okay, this is the, now what I am saying, we can write the numbers as a coefficients before the chemical formula of reactants and products. Okay, here 2 hydrogens are there, 2 hydrogens are there. How many oxygens are there? 2 oxygens are there. Here how many oxygens are there? 1 oxygen is there. So you can write here 2. That means we are introducing a quotient here in order to balance oxygens. Okay, in order to balance oxygen, we are introducing the quotients, but now we are not changing these ratios. Okay, here, so here 2 oxygens and here also 2 oxygens. Again check for ఇది ఇట్లా కంప్లీట్ అయిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ చెక్ చేసుకోండి. The number of atoms in the balanced chemical equation, the number of atoms on the reactant side is equal to the number of atoms on the left hand side. కానీ మనకి ఇక్కడ చూడండి, ఇక్కడ ఎన్ని హైడ్రోజన్స్ ఉన్నాయి? 2 into 2. 2 into 2 is equal to how many hydrogens are there? 4 hydrogens are there. 2 into 2, 4 hydrogens are there. Okay, so you can keep 2 here, isn't it? You can change the coefficients here. Okay, 2 into 2, 4. So this is the balanced chemical equations. If you have any doubt regarding this equation, after completion of balance, once check the equation. This is the last step. What is the step? After balancing the equation, you have to check the number of atoms on the reactant side and number of atoms on the product side. If the number of atoms on the reactant side, number of atoms on reactant side is equal to number of atoms on product side. The number of atoms on reactant side is equal to number of atoms on product side. Then we can say that the reaction is balanced, isn't it? Okay, this is how we are balancing the chemical equations. Okay, here I am telling you a simple tip. What is the tip means? Up to this, is there any here, this is how we are balancing a chemical equation. Here I am telling you one tip so that you can easily solve any chemical equation or you can easily balance any of the given chemical equation. What is the tip is in the second step. Okay, this tip is used in the second step. What is that tip? First you have to balance the metals, and then you have to balance the non-metals, and then oxygen, and then hydrogen. Actually, first you have to, while balancing in the second step, while balancing the chemical reaction, first of all you have to balance metals, and then non-metals, and then oxygen, and then hydrogen. Okay, for example, if you are actually the oxygen and hydrogen are also non-metals, but after balancing remaining non-metals, then we have to balance oxygen and then hydrogen. This is the order. Okay, first you have to balance metals, and then non-metals, and then oxygen, and then hydrogen. This is the method. Okay, actually there are so many metals in the periodic table, but I am telling you the metals up to 30 elements and non-metals up to 30 elements. Okay, what are the metals in the up to 30 elements? The metals are: sodium is a metal, Sodium is a metal, sodium, potassium, aluminum, iron, copper, zinc. These are the metals. So many metals are there, but I am saying these much metals are enough for you. Okay, then what about non-metals? What are the non-metals? Generally the p block elements, most p block elements are the non-metals. In 1 to 30 elements, the non-metals are carbon is a non-metal. Next, carbon is a non-metal, and then nitrogen is a non-metal, phosphorus is a non-metal, sulfur is a non-metal. Okay, this much is enough. Next, oxygen and then hydrogen. So in balancing the chemical equation, first you have to balance the metals, and then you come for these non-metals, and then oxygen and then hydrogen. Okay, now I will balance one chemical equation by using this method. Let us see. Here I am saying when propane C3H8. You know the general formula for alkanes. What is the general formula for alkanes? CnH2n plus 2. Okay, prop means how many carbon? Then for prop n is equal to what? 3. Then substitute this 3 in the place of n. Then what happens? C3H2 into 3 plus 2. C3H8. This is propane. Okay, now propane on burning with oxygen, it forms carbon dioxide and water. Okay, propane when burning with oxygen, it forms carbon dioxide and oxygen. This is the first step, isn't it? What is the first step? We have to write the correct chemical formulas for the reactants and products. This is the chemical formula for propane, this is the chemical formula for oxygen, this is the chemical formula for carbon dioxide, and this is the chemical formula for H2O, water. Okay, the first step is over. Then what is the second step? In the second step, we have to balance the chemical equation by using this order. Okay, what is the equation? C3H8 plus O2 gives rise to CO2 plus H2O. This is the equation, isn't it? Is there any metal atoms here? No, there is no metal atoms here. Non-metals, yes, carbon is there. So first we have to balance the carbon, isn't it? Metals are not there. Then what is the next priority? Non-metals. Which non-metal is present here? Carbon is present here. So we have to balance carbon here. Here how many number of carbons are there? 3 number of carbons on the reactant side. So we have 3 number of carbons on the reactant side. So we have to keep the coefficient 3 here. Put coefficient 3 here. Then what happens? The number of carbons on the reactant side is equal to the number of carbons on the product side. C3H8 plus O2 gives rise to 3CO2 plus H2O, isn't it? Here 3 carbons are there. So first of all we have to balance carbons. In the product side there is 1 carbon. So I put here the coefficient 3. So the number of carbon atoms on the reactant side is equal to the number of carbons on the product side, isn't it? Then now we balance the carbons here. Then what we have to balance? Oxygens. After non-metal we have to balance the oxygens. See what number of oxygens on the reactant side and number of oxygens on the product side. How many number of oxygen atoms are there? There are 2 oxygen atoms. There are 2 oxygen atoms. O2 means one molecule. In that molecule how many oxygen atoms are there? 2 oxygen atoms are there. Here how many oxygen atoms are there? 3 into 2. 3 into 2. 3 into 2 6 plus 1. That is equal to 7 oxygen atoms are there. Okay, in the reactant side how many oxygens are there? 2 oxygens are there. In the product side how many oxygens are there? 7 oxygen atoms are there. If I multiply this let them see here, C3H8 plus I am multiplying these oxygens with the coefficient 7 by 2. Then what happens? 7 by 2 means this 2 and this 2 will gets cancelled. There are 7 atoms of oxygen here. That implies 3CO2 plus H2O, isn't it? Now see here 3 carbons, here also 3 carbons. How many oxygen? 7 7 get cancelled, 7 oxygen atoms here. 3 into 2 is equal to 6 plus 1 is equal to 7. So the number of carbons balanced here, and then number of oxygens also balanced in this equation. Then what we have to do? We balanced the carbon atoms and we balanced the oxygen atoms. Now next we have to balance the hydrogens. Okay, the fourth step is we have to balance the hydrogens. Okay, how many number of hydrogens are there here? Here 8 hydrogen atoms are there. In the right hand side, how many hydrogen atoms are there? 2 hydrogen atoms are there. 2 hydrogen atoms are there. Okay, now we have to balance this. There are 8 hydrogens and these are 2 hydrogens. If I multiply this H2O with the coefficient 4, then what happens? See, C3H8 C3H8 plus 7 by 2O2 gives rise to what? 3CO2 plus 4H2O, isn't it? See here, how many number of hydrogens are here? 8 hydrogen atoms are here, and the product side also 4 into 2 is equal to 8 hydrogen atoms. Again come for the first one, that means after finishing, once you finish it the order, then again check order again of, that means first we have to balance the metals and then non-metals and then oxygen and hydrogen. According to this priority, we balance the equation like this, and again once again check for the balancing. Okay, that means here check first, you have to check for the metals are not there in the equation, so we have to check for the balancing of we have to check for non-metals. Which non-metal is here? Carbon is here. How many number of carbons? 3 carbons. In the left hand, in the product side also 3 carbons. Okay, carbons are balanced here. Next we have to come for the oxygens. How many number of oxygens are here? That means 7 oxygen atoms are there. That means here how many number of oxygens are there? 6 plus 3 2s are 6 plus 4, that is equal to 10 oxygen atoms are there. Here there are 7 oxygen atoms, here there are 10 oxygen atoms. So we have to balance this equation again, these oxygens again. Then what happens? C3H8 plus, here how many oxygen atoms are there in the product side? 10 atoms. If you want to 10 atoms, we have to multiply this oxygen by 5. 5 O2. 5 2s are 10. Gives rise to 3 CO2 plus 4 H2O. This is how we are balancing the chemical equation. Okay. Then check for then check number of atoms on the reactant side and number of atoms on the product side. How many number of carbons here? 3 carbons. Here also 3 carbons. The number of oxygen, 5 2s are 10, 3 2s are 6 plus 4, 6 plus 4, 10 oxygen atoms are there. Okay, and then check for the hydrogen atoms. Here 8 hydrogen atoms. In this side 4 into 2, 8 hydrogen atoms. Therefore, the number of atoms on the reactant side is equal to the number of product side. So we can say that the equation is balanced, isn't it? This is the way of balancing equation. I will tell other examples and I will give some equations to you how to balance, and write your answers on the comment box. Okay. You balance the equations. But I am giving one example. N2 plus H2 gives rise to NH3. Okay. N2 plus H2 gives rise to NH3. Nitrogen react with hydrogen forms ammonia. This is the equation. Here I completed the first step. Nitrogen is the correct chemical formula. Hydrogen gives ammonia. Then we are going for the second step, metals, non-metals. Then we have to balance oxygen, then hydrogen, sodium, potassium, aluminum, copper, iron, zinc. Okay, what is the non-metals here? Carbon, sulfur, phosphorus, nitrogen. Enough. Okay, first you have to balance this equation. First of all, we have to give priority for the metals. Is there any metals here? No, there are no metals. Then we have to go for a non-metal. Okay, nitrogen here. Nitrogen is a non-metal. So first we have to balance the nitrogen. How many nitrogens on the reactant side? There are 2 nitrogens on the nitrogen atoms on the reactant side. How many nitrogens on the product side? There is only 1 nitrogen on the product side. So I'm taking the coefficient 2 here. So there is 2 nitrogens and there is 2 nitrogens. So the equation is balanced in terms of nitrogen. Then we have to go for oxygens. But in this equation there are no oxygens. And what is the next step? We have to balance the hydrogens. Here how many number of hydrogens are here? 2 hydrogen atoms are here. Here how many number of hydrogens are there? 6 hydrogens are here. Here 2 hydrogens. Here 6 hydrogens. That means if we multiply this hydrogen molecule with 3, then what happens? 3 into 2 is equal to, 3 into 2 is equal to 6. So 6 hydrogen atoms gives rise to the 2NH3. That means here see, here this is the balanced chemical equation. Once check it. There are how many nitrogens on the reactant side? 2 nitrogens on the reactant side, 2 nitrogens on the product side, 6 hydrogens on the reactant side and 6 hydrogens on the product side. So the number of atoms on the reactant side is equal to the number of atoms on the product side. So we can say that this is a balanced chemical equation, isn't it? Okay, this is by using this process you can easily solve any you can easily balance any chemical equation. Okay, I'll give you homework for you, and you give me I'll give homework for you. I'll give some equations and you have to balance those equations and comment me the answers. Okay, send your answers in comments. The reactions is H2SO4 plus NaOH gives rise to Na2SO4 and water. This is one reaction. Okay, you have to balance this equation. H2SO4 plus NaOH gives rise to Na2SO4 and H2O. This is one reaction. What is A? That means what is the coefficient here? Okay, what is A, what is B, what is C, what is D? For the first question you have to write the coefficient over in comments. Okay, for example, in the coefficient for A is equal to 1 means A 1. First question A 1. B, what is the coefficient here? C, what is the coefficient here? D, what is the coefficient here? Like that you have to send your answer in the comments. Okay, this is your first question. You have to balance this equation by using by using the process. Okay, the next equation. What is the next equation? Okay, H2 plus O2 gives rise to H2O. This is another equation. Okay, next the third equation is magnesium hydroxide plus HCl gives rise to magnesium chloride plus water. Balance this 3 equation by using the probable process. Balance these 3 equations and comment me the answers. Okay, thank you. Okay students, this is our today's class. I hope you understand well. Okay, please do subscribe please do subscribe our channel so that you can get updates from me. థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్ వాచింగ్.